Well, this is a video nobody wants to make, but it's the truth. I blew $15,000 in payouts this month. I don't think there's an easy way to say that or a way that sounds good. It's just the truth. I think one of the worst things that I hear is when traders say, I did this wrong, but, and then they try to sugarcoat it and say something's good about it. I blew this account, but I passed this other account. Sometimes just things suck. Now, I'm going to go through a little bit of why I think this happened, what I'm doing about it, and ultimately what you can learn from it. Let's talk about my main account. I was up about $7,000 in April. I was due for a payout in probably about 5 days. I needed about $3,000 more for the consistency rule. And I just let the numbers get too much in my head. I'm very, very, very obsessive when I start focusing on the numbers, which is why I tend to not look at the stats, look at any of this stuff, because I care too much about what the number says to a way that doesn't make sense. Like if a trade, let's just say on the day, it's minus $1 versus being plus $1, I cannot see it as the same thing. It's very difficult for me to. It's not even about the money. It's about the fact that it's not green. So this is a flaw that I have. It's something that it's innate to me. It's not something that I can necessarily change. I can't change the fact that I'm obsessive. I've always been like that. Very, very, very particular about things. However, why did this happen? I can look back to a couple sessions where maybe there were some indications that something like this might happen. However, the way I looked at it was my stats had always indicated that I have a strong ability to recover. Now, this is true, right? This is what it says on paper. But the reality is, I just have bad filtering. I'm unable to see poor conditions because I do not believe that the market is limiting my ability to find a trade, where in all actuality, it's just not the case. There's a lot of trades that I could filter out, which would prevent the drawdown from occurring in the first place. The reason that these accounts got lost was 100% my fault. 100%. I had one opportunity to get out of drawdown, get the account back to neutral, and I fumbled it. I just straight up fumbled it. And that's something that continued to be an issue past that point, right? Trying different accounts. I would get to a point where I would create drawdown and have an opportunity to get out, and then I would mess it up again. Meaning I would either aim for a bigger target than what would cure the drawdown, live to trade another day. And yeah, that habit is something that is probably one of the most toxic trading habits I have. I need to stop allowing myself to go deep into drawdown, because I can look at this week and on paper, I'm green every day. But every single day I had substantial drawdown that I dug myself out of miraculously in one trade, but like every day. So it shows that I can have really big winners with very little risk, but I just accumulate so much damage along the way that it's not productive to anything. So my question is, why am I doing this? Why am I not filtering the trades that I need to the way that I need to? And ultimately, I just think I was just putting too much pressure on myself. I know a lot of you guys can feel that way, where you think you need to get to some point by a certain time or a certain date. And, I say here, I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this since 2020, 2021, every day trading. I've made thousands, I've lost thousands, I've done crazy things. But it doesn't mean that it's like an easy process. It takes time. Just because you want something by a certain date doesn't mean anything. I've had wins early on in my trading. I've made so much money before I ever was supposed to. And then now I'm at a point where I feel way more familiar with price. I'm very, very in tune with what I'm looking for most of the time. Yet I still find it harder for me to make money in certain periods of time, even when conditions are good. And that ultimately comes down to how I'm interacting with the market. What I'm doing is not productive. It's not. There's no reason for me to need to accumulate so much losses to then just work my way out. I'm spinning my wheels here, and it's not doing anything other than tiring me out. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, where you feel like you're putting in the work and you have nothing to show for it. that's kind of how this last couple weeks have been for me, right? I'm human. Every trader you'll ever speak to will have periods where they do amazing and then not so amazing. I thought this rough patch of 2025 was kind of past me, and I got a little too ahead of myself. I was doing a little too good, a little too quickly. And I don't think I truly know how to appreciate that because I'm so used to things not being good. It's actually a little like uncomfortable for me when things are really, really good. It's that chaos, right? Like, when you're first coming up, I always tell people, like, enjoy those times. And I think maybe part of that is just me reflecting on the fact that it's hard for me to be like happy when things are good. I don't know why that is. I just think it's something that's just unnatural to me to be like, yeah, like I'm winning. Like when you don't feel like you deserve it, if that makes sense. So a lot of you, I know that's going to sound crazy, but to me, I've never felt happy with whether it's like getting grades at school or whatever and doing well there. It's not something that's normal to me. I just expect that, but it doesn't bring fulfillment. So, yeah, I think maybe that's a big cause of what's going on here. Because this whole time, it's not that I felt out of control per se. I just felt like maybe my motives were not aligned with the goals that I have. What was I actually trying to prove? What am I actually doing? Why am I creating these obstacles for me to overcome? What's the point? And on the surface, it's really hard to kind of understand because it's not like I don't know what a good trade is. I can show you a dozen trades that are the craziest thing you've ever seen. But then on the other hand, I can show you dozens and dozens of trades that I don't even know why the fuck I'm taking. So it's not the charts that are going to be your issue. It's going to be you. It's the operator that's the problem. It's rarely the vehicle. When you look at trading in terms of technical edge, most of that is a result of your ability to follow good habits and good rules that you set for yourself. I think a lot of you guys would assume I sit here because I think I know something. Reality is, I'm just figuring all this out and I can only speak from my experience. And the way you perceive that might come off a different way, but this is just me. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm different than anybody. I know I make mistakes. My question is, why do I do that? I know what I want. I know what the chart says. I know what setups I need to be looking for. So why am I wasting my time and energy creating obstacles and hurdles for me to overcome? Is it because I feel like it needs to be hard, so I make it hard on myself? But at the end of the day, it's not all bad. I know I sit here and you hear me say, yeah, $15,000 down the fucking drain. More accounts, cool. Run it up. What else are you going to do? All I can do is learn from what I did. And again, people say they don't remember going on tilt. Like, I can very well remember it. I don't feel like I ever fully lost control. I just feel like I wasn't able to fully maximize the opportunities that I had to get out of drawdown, if that makes sense. Because any obstacle is overcome, like you can overcome anything. I mean, I've had like this week alone, I look at my account, I'm like, I've been down 2-3 grand on a day, and then I get it back in one trade. So I know how to win, but I'm losing too much. For what reason? Why am I entering before I see the higher time frame context that developed to give me that winning trade? Why do I waste all my bullets there? Because the way I look at it is I'm not a very cautious person in life, but in trading, I try to be extremely cautious. And what ends up happening is I'm only cautious when I'm disciplined. But then I go back to my extreme ways when I'm on tilt or, like off my game. So why don't I just bring that same aggression in to my discipline trading? Why don't I trade that with size? I think that's kind of the answer there. There's that disunity because me naturally, I'm not a very calm person. I'm a very I'll take risks. I don't care. I have very little regard in that way. But when I trade, I try to be super disciplined with that stuff. And ultimately, what it equals is a lot of perfect but small progress and a lot of big and bold losses. When really, I need to just cut the number of losses and increase the amount of risk on my winning trades. I need to be doing less. I need to be needing less from the market because I've put up some unbelievable trades this week. Unbelievable trades that live in the shadows because the amount of drawdown that occurred before those trades, you'll never even know they happened. You'll never even know they happened. Matter of fact, we're going to pull up an example right here. I'm going to share with you one of these trades that I took this week, and you're going to be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Because it's quite the trade. So I was able to short on the change in state after running this up, and then it dipped. I was able to get in here, and I targeted 3 standard deviations. That's why I sold at the bottom. It's not because I don't know where to sell. It's not because I don't know where to enter. It's that I simply don't know when to not be around the markets. I don't know what I'm trying to do by spending so much time on the charts. I think maybe a lot of you are doing the same thing. And ultimately, that's what makes trading so difficult is the harder you try, the more you make problems for yourself. Man, I can tell you the amount of times that I've been up before that blow up on a day and then I walk it back to red. Like, what am I doing? I'm green. What else do I need? Why am I doing this? Like, that's what rings through my head when I sit here today and I'm looking at this stuff. I say, my goals clearly are not based on money. I'm trying to do something else. Am I trying to welcome in my defeat by giving the market opportunities to take back what I've already earned from it? Because the making of the money is not the hard part. It's the keeping it. Because we spend so much time on the front lines and we wonder why we get shot at when we can simply just retreat, find our home base, reset, ground, come back in the next opportunity with the utmost focus. Yet somehow we think that just by being around, we're going to have the opportunity to make more money instead of being prepared when the opportunity arises. There's a big difference. It's about being either available for the market to do what it wants to you, or you could be useful and execute when it is ready for you. When you do something that you think would bother you and you feel nothing about it, it's kind of a good thing. It's kind of empowering. I'm not sitting here at no point. I think I spent maybe 10 minutes like damn, what the, like a little like what did I do? Feel like hot sweats or whatever you call it. But then after that I was like, I'm good. I don't think it matters. This is just one set of accounts. Even as I sit here right now, and I think, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to get across? I don't think there really is that much to get across. I think the important thing to show you is that you can do something, you can fuck up bad, but very few things you do will be fatal or final. Most of what you do can be recovered. I mean, I look at the set of accounts that I'm on now. Off to good progress. We'll get a payout this month. We'll get 3 actually. We'll do 3 payouts for the 3 accounts this month. It's not a big deal. We get it in May. I'm not stressing over it. I've already shown myself this entire week that I can make thousands in a trade. So there's really no pressure anywhere. I just need to be more organized with how I utilize the risk. Because the way I'm doing it right now, I'm only inviting large losing days by having consecutive small losses instead of having a singular large win, which I rarely do in the beginning. I need to rewire that. I need to trade with more size. Wherever you're at in your trading journey, I don't want you to think that you're behind, because behind is an idea that you need to do more. The reality is you will have highs and lows at any stage in your trading. And what might be the end of the world to you now will be Tuesday in the future. Just understand that these things take time. And any single time that I've tried to shortcut that or rush that or speed it up, it's only taken twice or 3 or 4 times as long. Because I sit here now looking at why was I acting the way that I did. And the root of it is simply just maybe impatience, maybe obsession. I don't know. You're going to have to find your own path. You're going to do things that won't make sense to other people. And you'll have your wins and they'll have their losses, right? It all balances out in the market. You can't just assume that you're always going to be up because there are differences in opinion. I do believe that through this period of time, I've gotten far more comfortable seeing both sides of the trade, where earlier this year it was almost impossible for me to short. We're now looking here where some of my biggest trades, monetarily, and this isn't a lot of risk, by the way. This is 66, I think maybe 79. Yeah, I risked less than $400 on this trade. Some of my bigger, some of my bigger trades have been short. So there is benefit to doing stuff that's not proper. Not going to sit here and say, oh, you need to always do everything perfect. Then what are you going to learn from? What's going to color your experience? You need to do stuff wrong. You need to understand, okay, there is a reason why I cannot take 5 losses in a row with smaller size, because it just creates a bigger problem for when the actual trade does show up and I have to use more size just to cover the losses. It's not that useful. It's far more useful to just sit and do nothing. Or maybe just structure the trades differently. That's actually the point that I was going to get at. It's not that I have to be in the trade before the market moves, right? I don't have to be in the trade. Like, for instance, let's go over this chart right here because I do think there is some value in this. Right here. All of this is the gap down for Asia. I was expecting this to get ran. I was expecting all of this to get ran early, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then finally, I was able to see that this was a push higher. I caught that piece, and then it deleted and went back to my original bias. So I got chopped up here just to run up and then give it back and then stop right there. And then finally realize, okay, we're going short like I thought in the first place. None of this is a higher time frame context just yet. Once you do see this push, this manipulation, you can then use your standard deviation projections to see how far we can reach, which also equaled that daily fair value gap. So the idea was there. It just wasn't ready, or it wasn't primed when I was approaching in the first place. It's kind of difficult to sometimes gauge, right? There are ways to filter this. I do know some tools to filter out bad trades, but it just seems that oftentimes in recent trading, I'm not doing that as much. I'm just spinning my wheels. So, my message to you: look at the mistakes you're making head on, turn on the lights. Because accountability starts when the lights turn on. Lies live in the shadows. You can say, oh, this, but you don't have to sugarcoat it. You can just do bad sometimes. You can make mistakes. We live in a world where people think that somehow making a mistake makes you less of a person. I dare you to say that to me. Say that to my face, because I do not believe that my worth is attached to any decisions that I make on a fucking laptop. My worth is me as a person, and that's the same for you. You shouldn't get so wound up in thinking that you have to have this crystalline image of who you supposedly are. You are you, and there's only one of you. Same goes for me. I'm not going to assume that a market where anybody can make money is somehow more important than me as a person. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You have other things going for you in life. You have other things to be grateful for. You're not chained to this computer. That's why you got into this in the first place, for the freedom. So don't make it your own prison, because it is ultimately going to be by your own design, as it was mine, that we waste time here. And we don't get the results that we want because we're trying to force them instead of attracting the results that we are. Big difference. You're either going to win as a byproduct of your natural habits and production, the things you put out, or you'll just try to force it and ultimately end up with nothing, chasing it like a dog its tail. This is an opportunity, same goes for any other day, for you to reset. You can just sit and say, I no longer identify with the habits and actions that I have chosen up to this point. Therefore, I'm choosing to do differently tomorrow. Matter of fact, differently right now. Matter of fact, I'm going and doing the thing that I was supposed to do. Right? You don't have to sit here and ruminate. You don't have to ruminate on your problems. You don't have to ponder. You don't have to wonder. You can just look at it and say, yeah, I don't like that. Or could have been better, right? You don't have to feel bad about something. Something bad can happen, but you don't have to feel bad. You can just choose to say, okay, I do not want to repeat that. So let's do differently. And to you guys this week, same thing. Let's do differently. Talk soon.